Welcome to the Project Profile Podcast. I'm your host, Mark Allen. This is a podcast where we explore everything that it takes to market property projects here in Australia. Welcome back again to the Project Profile Podcast. I'm joined today with Adam DeMarco from The Urban Developer. Welcome, Adam. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me.
We've been really excited to get you onto the podcast for a while now, so we're really pumped that you're here today. I think that the people that are listening and watching along here are going to get a really good understanding. I was lucky enough to go to your property developer masterclass last year, it might have been. And yourself, you spoke about your experience with the Urban Developer and the hand-in-hand experience you have as a property developer as well. And as well as I think Don O'Rourke got up and did an amazing talk. He went in depth with his business, which was amazing. But it was really good to hear your point of view because you are smack bang in the middle of the industry as well.
Well, firstly, it's a pleasure to be here, and it's nice to be on the other side of the microphone because usually I'm in your chair asking lots of questions about other people. So forgive me if I get a little shy, but
I don't think so.
Well, look, thank you for having me. I mean, I'm the founder and CEO of The Urban Developer, director of my own property development business, the DeBaker Group, and I just love property. I love the tangible nature of property, love the industry, the people behind it, the creativity. It's a fascinating sector to be in the middle of. So, I enjoy every day.
And so for the people, and I don't think there would be anyone out there that's listening or watching that doesn't know the Urban Developer. Can you give us a bit of an overview of what the Urban Developer is, who it's for, and what are the things that you do?
Sure. So the Urban Developer is a media publication, first and foremost, for the property industry. We focus on new development activity, new projects, the broader property market, the trends that underpin that. And we've got a team of about a dozen journalists that produce content and reporting every single day. And then we support that with an events program that brings the industry closer together and connects the industry and informs them. Everything from 30-person workshops like you attended through to about 1,000 people at our flagship Urbanity conference on the Gold Coast as well. And then we've also got a range of member benefits as well that come with subscribing to the Urban Developer. So we host site tours, we provide professional development, we run an awards program and do plenty of different things that ultimately connect, inform and inspire the property industry, which is our mission.
And you've just announced the finalists for one of those awards yesterday, wasn't it?
Yesterday, the Urban Leader Awards. So we run two programs for the awards. When we stepped into the award space, we sort of realised there's a lot of awards out there. How can we do it a little bit differently? So we've got our awards for industry excellence, which acknowledge projects, and then we've got our Urban Leader Awards, which acknowledge people. And so we host those separately, and it's a fascinating look into what people are doing, and ultimately gives us a chance to celebrate the best. And there's a lot of amazing stuff that's happening in property here in Australia, and we love celebrating that.
There was a lot of recognizable names in that list, which was great. I'm going to put you on the spot here. There was no property marketing category though.
There was a marketing category. No, we love it. We love celebrating.
I'll make sure that we
get in there next year.
Get in there next year. So I did touch on this earlier. You did say you have a property development arm there. Can you tell us a little bit more about your experience there? What you've produced and what's coming up?
Yeah, I mean, I might just step back because it'll help sort of connect the two kind of hats that I do wear. I worked in property from a very young age. I was always very fascinated by particularly development, the ability to create and to create the built form. So I worked for several different sort of large developers. I went over to Dubai. I worked with the royal family over there in the master development.
How was that? You'll have to tell us about that.
Yeah,
next.
It was amazing actually. I was very young. I was 23. I was working on the Palm Jumeirah project. I built the first estate master feasibility model for that project as well, which was a big exercise, particularly when costs were escalating like they were at that point in time. That was 2008. Unfortunately, towards the end of 2008. There was a little thing called the GFC, which cut that all very, very short. But it was still a fascinating experience. I mean, a lot of it taught. What I learned from that was to sort of dream big, and big ideas are fascinating. At the same time, I learned a lot of things not to do as well. There was a fair bit of kind of recklessness in the way that development was happening over there. Yeah. Came back and got my training with Leighton Properties. Leighton's a fantastic business, a construction company with a property arm. So investment committees, risk, corporate governance, all of the really important things were sort of drilled into me over sort of 6 or 7 years there, I think. And then I set up my own business. I was a partner in a company called Marquette Properties with some friends of mine, and we undertook a range of different things. We partnered on development, so we did 180 apartments in South Brisbane, quite a large project, in partnership with a private from Victoria. We did some boutique residential development, 26 units, 30 units, that sort of scale by ourselves. And then we also provided advisory services for, in this case, it was a large purpose-built student accommodation portfolio called Student One. We helped to build that up on behalf of a company out of Singapore called Valparaiso Capital. So that was sort of the property stuff that I was doing. And at the same time, for all of my sins, I started a blog. And that blog was The Urban Developer. And it was really my way of sort of tracking what was happening. It was a passion project. It was a side hustle. Yep. But then once it's sort of caught fire, I then formed a view that, okay, there might be something in this. And that was when the media part of what I do evolved and kind of grew. But now, today, I mean, 80% of my attention's on the media asset now. That's it's a big beast. The media business is demanding. Yep. And then my development projects are now, at this point in time, a smaller scale. I do them myself, and they're not passion projects, but I do one or two at a time so that I can focus on it, and I really treat it like almost like a private investment vehicle, but with a development bent, because that's what I know and that's what I love doing.
Yeah. So 2 full-time jobs.
Yeah, sort of. But if that's a Venn diagram, there's a lot of crossover.
Yeah, for sure.
Same people, same community. Yeah. I take a lot of the lessons and learnings I get out of the media side and apply them to my development projects. I take the conditions that I'm dealing with, whether it be construction or finance or design or planning or whatever the conditions I'm dealing with as a developer, and then we can apply that over to the media part of the business, whether it be what we're covering editorially, what kind of events we're hosting, even it's just the ability to ask pointed questions on a panel. Yeah. Well, I'm in the game. I get it. I'm talking to a peer. I'm not a journalist necessarily. So that's given us a bit of an edge, I think, in terms of being able to talk turkey to the industry and really sort of cut through and not really be perceived to be a media business, but more a member of the industry, a participant in the industry.
It really does feel like an industry business over a self-serving media business. It feels like you're there in service of the industry. So
yeah, a little bit. I mean, it's certainly a business. Of course, we don't sort of shy away from that. But yeah, at the same time, we're very passionate about it. Like it was started from passion and trying to solve a problem, which was at the very, very start, it was really about the media coverage that I was getting as a young developer didn't really talk to me. It was either commercial real estate, news, which talked to the top end of town, the REITs, the institutions, or it was Ma and Pa, how to get rich with 20 properties.
Yeah.
Right? There wasn't really anything in between that spoke to me, that was independent, that provided in-depth coverage, that covered projects, that had an optimistic outlook for the future. It's not gotcha journalism. That's what we were passionate about. And so that was the premise upon which we built it. That's our foundations and our values, and everything else stems from there. So, it's been a pretty wild ride, but we sort of love being in the middle, and I don't think I'm going to give up either.
Well, I mean, you've come from a really rich history or background of training in the industry. Like going over to Dubai sounds amazing, but then, coming back and getting that grounded understanding through all of those different areas. And that must also, that does come through in everything that you're doing when you're talking to people. As you said, they're peers, you're not interviewing them. I'm curious though, so we use the Urban Developer because we're a marketing agency for the property industry. Do you see any trends in there of how people are using the Urban Developer outside of just getting information from the other side of
yeah, we see plenty of both behavioural, interesting behaviour in terms of the way people are engaging with the Urban Developer, and sort of a whole range of other sort of data points. I mean, I'll give you some context just so that, again, those that are listening can understand. We've got something like 90,000 subscribers.
Wow.
To our various sort of newsletters around the industry, and that's email subscribers. That's people that have voluntarily given us their emails and said, "Hey, we want to follow you." So to say that the property industry is not engaged is wrong. It's deadly wrong. Then what are they interested in, right? Fundamentally, and again, this sort of guides us on where we go, and we ask a lot of questions. We do a lot of surveys. We look at a lot of data. We've got screens up in the office with all our dashboards, and we're very sort of data focused. And there's probably 3 or 4 core attributes to the sort of the behaviour of the community. The first is that projects always win.
Yeah.
It's all about popular. It's all about the projects.
Yeah.
And again,
that's the sexy side of it, isn't it? You've got the beautifully branded, the lovely renders. So that makes total sense.
But it's not just the sexiness of them; it's also where the workflow comes from. So bringing it back to your question around marketing and the agency, an architect, a planner, a surveyor, a traffic engineer, a landscape architect, right? All of the key consultants at the very front end of a project put together the development applications and get that thing started. And that is all catalyzed by a developer who's willing to put the capital on the line and risk based on the opportunity and the risk-reward relationship between that. So it starts with the developer. We crudely refer to him or her as the apex predator in the food chain. And then you've got the core consultants that sort of start at that very early DA phase or planning phase. Once that happens, then you engage your marketing teams, and those marketing teams, whether they be project marketers, marketing agencies, and everyone in that ecosystem, they're there to get the project either pre-sold or pre-leased or connected, so that you can go to the bank and say, I want to borrow some money to start construction. So then the financing part of the ecosystem opens up. Then the construction part of the ecosystem opens up. And then as you work your way down the sausage factory, you've got your subcontractors, you've got your product suppliers, you've got your labourers, you've got everyone that's there to build the thing. And then it finishes and it goes into its operational phase, right? So then you've got strata communities and again, a whole nother world of finance that opens up to buy and to settle then you've got the furniture suppliers and you've got everyone that sits through there, right? So when I talk about a food chain, I'm actually talking about a food chain. It starts with the developer who's willing to make that. And so we talk to the developer. And what happens is you naturally then bring the entire ecosystem in behind all of that. So that's being kind of one observation, which is projects lead everything and the developers doing that. The other is that people are curious.
Yeah.
So curiosity is something that I've found to be clearly a simple thing, but it's the more I'm going through this journey, which is almost 15 years now since I started it. Yeah, 15 years in March next year, which is crazy when I registered the domain name. Even though they might be in the retirement sector or the land lease sector or the commercial office sector or retail, and they might specialise in childcare, whatever their sector is, they're still pretty interested typically in what's happening in other sectors, not just also in their backyard. So one of the things that, again, is very interesting is property has tended to be quite localised. Unlike, say, for example, finance, mining, retail, advertising, they're all pretty national or global industries, right?
Yeah.
Property is inherently a very local industry.
Yeah, it's what's happening in your backyard.
It's your backyard,
Yeah.
right? You work out of the back of a truck and build houses. You're not interested in what's happening.
Yeah.
Like if you're in Brisbane, you're not interested in what's happening in Western Sydney too much, are you? But what's happening as the world becomes more globalized, and also as as technology has enabled us to disseminate information more freely and more affordably, people are looking up in NRL. They call it eyes up footy. So they're looking up and they're thinking about, well, they're doing that. I've got a Pinterest board that allows me to look at that. So,
and also these are the trends that are coming to market.
Totally.
BTR, the rise of BTR.
Yeah, no, I'm in the hotel sector and I'm looking at BTR.
Yep.
Or I'm in the BTR sector, I'm looking at hotels. So you get this kind of bleeding that happens across a lot of different industries and different sectors and different geographies. And so what's at the heart of that is human curiosity. So what we thought would be, a lot of localized content, we've actually sort of pulled that back a little bit because the curiosity is driving more interest in diverse content mix.
Yeah.
And that's been really, really interesting as well. I'd say that so between those first 2 points and then the final one is really trust. There has been a real lack of trust in not just the industry, but also the community in relation to the industry.
Yeah.
Right. So whether it's developers having had a bad name, builders, it might be government authorities, it might be NIMBYism, whatever that sort of tension tends to be, it really comes back to trust and having trust. So what we believe is that by being independent, completely independent, and being committed to the longevity of the industry and positive urban outcomes, that greater transparency builds greater trust.
Yeah.
And so that's why we're really passionate about media in this industry, because it means that somebody who's buying an off-the-plan apartment can Google, see an article written. It's not just any article. It's written by the urban developer. I trust the urban developer. They're independent. Their journalists go through a rather rigorous process to check things. I trust what's written there. And that trust is becoming more and more and more important as, AI proliferates, as I guess broader community tensions rise around housing, around NIMBYism and all that sort of stuff. So
and as the market gets more people coming into it, more developers and outside developers, we really need to build on that trust for the people who are in the industry here. I think that is a big part of it.
Yeah.
I can imagine that when you started the Urban Developer, there wasn't a lot out there that was similar to it. So you kind of had a broad share of voice straight away.
Yes and no in the share of voice part. For the first few years, I really didn't even think about it. Yeah. Because all I was doing was responding to my own use case. So that's
the best way to start.
I was just feeding me with what I needed.
Yep.
And that's and I didn't really look at what was happening. I had blinkers on because I was just constantly, my process was I'd go to a Brisbane City Council's website. I'd track the
DAs.
Track their planning portals. I'd save that PDF into a file that would then go into an Excel spreadsheet. That was the projects that I was tracking. Then I would start writing based on things that were in the Excel spreadsheet, and I'd write an article for each of them. I'd screenshot the first page of the PDF. That became my feature image. I'd upload that to WordPress. That was the process.
Yeah.
And I didn't really look at anything else that anyone else was doing.
Yeah.
Because it was scratching my own itch. And then as I continued to do that, I realized, if you can collect emails, then I can build the community. I can send them an EDM.
Yep.
Once I realized you could collect emails, I was like, maybe we can put some advertising on the website. Once I realized that, then I put a media kit together.
It's a natural progression.
It was a natural progression. And then we're like, we got 2,000 email subscribers in Brisbane. Let's do an event. So we do an event, partner with QUT, the university, borrowed their hall, brought someone in, did an interview. It was that easy. Sold it for $50 a head. 100 people came. Oh my God. Urbis sponsored it, I just recently framed the first ever invoice. Yeah. One of my team yesterday, I think 2 days ago, found it in our Google Drive somewhere.
Yeah, wow.
And so I was like, frame that. That's cool. Literally invoice
media.
One. Yeah.
For media onto your platform. That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's good.
So, and everything's been sort of organic. But bringing it back to the premise of your question, which was around like sort of that share of voice in the industry, I don't think there was anything like it.
Yeah.
There wasn't any competition. It was blue ocean.
Yeah.
And that was really interesting because that demonstrated to me that if you create something to compete with existing competition, then you're automatically in competition. But if you create something that doesn't even have competition, then you've got clear air.
Well, you also set the rules, set the tone.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
you're the leader there. So.
Yeah. And again, just to go to the competitive landscape, like the industry associations do their thing. They advocate. They also do events. They also talk to the same community. But they're not a media publication. They're not producing content every day. The Australian Financial Review or, any of the other sort of media publications, they don't typically run an events business with an awards program.
Yeah.
And have their foot in the game, developing and deep knowledge. They're just a part of a media masthead.
Yeah.
Right. And then you go through all the different facets of what we do. And it's really, I talk about the mojo, which is our value actually comes in the center and the crossover of all of the different parts of what we do. What is the urban developer's unique proposition? What is its point of difference? What's its goodwill? It's the fact that it brings all of it together. And that's a unique thing to do, and that's hard to do too.
I very rarely am I talking to someone about the urban developer and they only read the website or they only read the email or they haven't been to an event. Like there is a really good sort of flow through all of those different touch points.
Yeah, and it's really interesting because I even found a business plan that I wrote, like a deck from 2011, which had a diagram. And the diagram was literally a circle with all of these things connecting in like a web. And at the heart of it, it was community.
Yeah.
Right. And so it was that by design from the very, very start. And I'm fascinated and I'm proud to see how it's evolved over the 15 years because it actually pretty much is bang on what the original intent was.
That doesn't always happen.
No. You pivot and you move in different directions. And trust me, it has not been a straight line. We've got through COVID, that basically sent us to zero.
Yeah, wow.
We had so much of our revenue relying upon events. And that was really, really hard. I lost my business partner. That was incredibly hard. So it has not been a straight road, but the vision and the concept has remained pretty much unchanged since the very, very start, which is really cool. Yeah.
And you are exposed to a lot of different projects being in the urban developer. You're also a property developer, so you understand how to market projects. So between those two, are there any interesting trends that you're seeing emerge from how people are marketing projects?
Yeah, I mean, marketing is the art and the science of real estate, right? There's a lot of emotion. It's typically residential real estate is the biggest purchase anyone will ever make in their life.
Yeah,
they don't do it every day like we do. We do it every day. People don't buy property every day. That's like an exceptional moment in their life, and a massive outlier in terms of emotion, financial commitment, risk, stress, all of that. Right. So the human emotions are like peaking at that point in time, which makes for an interesting marketing experience, right? I think the buyers are becoming a lot more sophisticated. I don't think there's a single dumb buyer in the market anymore. Like it's
access to information has never been. You've never had more information at your fingertips.
Yeah, gone are the days you can body snatch someone on the Gold Coast and walk them into a door and sell them an apartment. Like that doesn't really happen. So what we're seeing then is, sort of high emotion, high transparency, high knowledge. So what does that make for in a marketing campaign? And that is, I think marketing starts a lot earlier. So it's not just about the product. A lot of it is trending towards the brand, so the developer brand. So we're seeing that sort of continuum shift closer and closer to brand strategy as opposed to like product strategy. As probably the first main thing. Secondly, the buying process is taking longer. As well. So, and again,
why do you think that is though? Because I've got some theories.
Yeah, look, I'm interested to hear your theories. I don't really know. I just think because it's in front of us, we're thinking about it earlier, therefore we're engaging earlier.
Yeah.
And that's the sort of the natural process. I mean, look at Australia. Like, we are genuinely obsessed with property.
Yeah.
And that's a function of so many different things, but fundamentally it's our wealth that sits in property more so than any other country around the world.
Yeah.
Our banks are overweight property, right? Of which our superannuation owns banks.
Yeah.
So therefore we're even more interested in it, right?
We're vertically integrated.
Yeah, our tax and policy settings all feed the machine and the beast. So, what is the Australian economy built on? It's built on resources and property.
Yeah.
Like, that is fundamentally it, right? If your property price is going up, you're heading down to Westfield and you're spending some dough, right? If your property price is going down, you are cutting gym memberships and everything else that comes with it, right?
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
So that is why the economy is so resilient. And we're in this structural phase of property where there is a chronic undersupply,
Yeah.
both at a front end, which is planning, and at the back end, which is construction productivity. Right? There's no demand issue.
There's big problems in that as well.
So when you then think about our economic future, it's going to be propped up by higher asset prices, right? So the Australian economy actually probably going to do pretty good because everyone's feeling wealthy. Therefore, they're going to spend, and that retail demand is going to be driven by that confidence that comes with high property prices, because nothing's breaking through the planning side of things. Even all the reforms, it still takes a long time to get things through, and it's only a fraction of the kind of the diesel that can be poured on it on the industry. Because if you can't then take it from an approval through to construction, then it's all just a moot point.
Yeah.
So there's heaps of approved sites. It's just you can't activate them.
Yeah.
So then the activation piece is the big issue, and that's where I don't know where the solutions are going to come from. I think it's just it's just a snake that's eaten the deer, and it's going to take a long time for that snake to digest that deer, and for the deer to work its way through the snake. So and so we can be sitting here in 20 years' time, and this is my expectation, is that probably going to have, maybe not 20 years, probably 10 years. We're probably going to still be having this conversation about chronic undersupply.
I think so.
Yeah.
I don't think we're going to solve that. I think that there's a combination of factors that influence the timeline to buy.
Yep.
And in my opinion, cost pricing always goes up.
Yeah.
And you have people that are trying to time the market and all of this sort of stuff instead of just getting in. Then you have we have that access to projects. Like, we've never been able to see more projects before. Anyone who has started their property journey as a buyer and made the fateful decision to click on a property ad on social, all of a sudden gets inundated by all these other projects. And so all of a sudden you're not sure if you're making the right decision by shortlisting this one, because there's so many others. So all of a sudden you then have to do some research into what is that one? Why is it better than this one? Is it better than that one? And so then that starts the information journey for them before they are even at the point where they're ready.
That's right.
So it just delays that first part. We, as a result of that project profile, we design our campaigns accordingly. So we'll often start before DA is approved if there's reasonable things in place to know that it will go through. We'll start with a coming soon campaign, just to announce that it's there, because the buying journey starts so early. By the time you're in market a few months later, they may have already shortlisted all of the projects that they want, and then they won't shortlist you. So you kind of need to let them know that you exist at the beginning. Just a splash page with a logo, no renders, and a register your interest coming soon. And then we move into register your interest, and then now selling, and then construction commenced, and then stage, if it's stages. And
you build momentum, right, as well through those marketing milestones.
It's new news every time. It's new. This is happening. So, and the other thing that we do to counter that is, or to capitalize on that is, we will make sure that, one, the project is available on as many touch points as possible. So even if we have an underperforming platform, we'll stay on there as a presence, because you want to be everywhere that your buyer is, and give them easy access to the information they want. So floor plans, floor plates,
So
master plan.
you're an easy access ideologue.
Yeah. Well, look, I mean, it is behind a data capture thing, like a form or something like that.
Yeah.
But once they register their interest, give them everything that they want. Because what we found is if you get someone to register their interest with you and there's a delay of 24 hours, 48 hours before someone picks up the phone and talks to them, you could lose them in that time. 24 to 48 hours is a long time in internet research and online behavior for you to not be engaging that person. So that's why it's vitally important to have all your automation set up there. It's not the agent that's reaching out. You've got an always on agent, digital agent that can go out and talk to them and give them what they want. Answer a couple of high level questions, but then ultimately get them to book a meeting with the agent.
Yep.
Or wait for the agent to call them that next day.
I always find that openness, like how wide is the funnel?
People are one or the other.
How much information are we providing? It's one of the great philosophical debates that marketers and developers and stuff have. But
it depends if you're arguing with an agent or a marketer.
Yeah, absolutely.
So where do you skew?
I skew probably a little more your way. Yeah.
So, I mean, and I understand it. The real estate agents want to hold that information because they're like, well, I want to talk to them. I want to see them. I want them to come and visit it. If you get them through the door, the chances of converting to an EOI is pretty good. However, you may never get them to the door if they don't have any information.
Yeah.
So you're better off giving them a lot of the high level stuff that they need, if not all of it. And then they can come to you with questions, because sometimes these buyers will remove themselves from the list, because they'll look at all that information up front and they'll go, this isn't right for us. And a good agent could convert them, but if they have looked through that information, they have their Evoke set and they're looking at it side by side and they realize it's not a great fit for us, the chances of the agent converting them is probably, it's less. So exclude the non-buyers early is my advice.
Yeah. Cut off the dead wood or whatever. Yeah. I'm just interested again, just sort of going back to what we were just talking about around the trends that we're seeing is that more brand marketing, less project marketing.
Yep.
The buyer journey starting a lot earlier as well. But I think this might be somehow connected to market conditions or whatever, but quality seems to be more important than price.
The quality of the product?
Yeah.
More important than price.
And I don't say that price isn't important, but in terms of that sort of competitive landscape, usually, price is the big driver of real estate. I think it might just be because people are becoming more discerning that, and again, the exception would be at the entry level of the market where price does dictate more. So your volume home builders or, that sort of market that's very price driven.
Yeah.
But the broader marketplace, I was just seeing quality trumps pricing, and that might just be because people are cashed up and they can borrow the money, or whatever the reason being. But the general quality of the developments that are being delivered today, and planned for tomorrow, are insanely good.
Yeah,
insanely good compared to 10 years ago.
Do you think that it's because buyers are better educated on those finishes and whatnot, and they kind of expect it?
Yeah, look, finishes I think are probably one of maybe 3 or 4 things.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll go all the way back. It's like the whole offering first and foremost. So what is on offer? It's not just a dwelling. It's a dwelling with communal facilities, with with bold architecture, with living landscape, with convenience, service, and a service offering. There's so many facets to it now, and I've just seen that whole mix lift to a level which, again, I've never seen before, and it's really exciting, and I think it's contagious, because if you see that the developer down the road is doing that, then you've got to up the game.
Yeah.
And that's happening, right? And I can see this in the awards that we You know,
Yeah.
we had 300 applications, 300 projects in a single year. It's like ridiculous.
Yeah.
We had to cull half of them too. Like it was impossible. You're culling bloody Lang Walker and Harry Triggerboff off projects. You're like, who am I to do this? You know,
Wow. Yeah.
So, but the interesting thing is that I think it is contagious as well. So, so then you've got this kind of momentum, and you can just see that now across. Yeah, again, what's been delivered in this most recent generation, call it the post-COVID generation.
Yep.
That's basically what we're seeing today. Finish is the first of that post-COVID
I hadn't considered that.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense because the facilities, especially multi-res apartment buildings, has increased in how important that is.
Yeah.
Of course, post-COVID.
Yeah.
You've always had, a gym. I'm trying to think like you'd have your standard facilities pre-COVID, but now we're looking at it for a gym. We're looking for a yoga retreat, a green area, off-leash dog area with natural landscaping, co-working space, communal co-working space, all of these sort of
studios,
podcast studios. Yeah, it's just amazing what people are basically expecting these days.
Yeah, and it's not just apartment buildings either.
Yeah.
You look at the recent generation of build-to-rent assets that are just completing now. Purpose-built student accommodation, PBSA, like some of the student buildings that are being completed are like 5-star hotels.
Yeah.
Like it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Even like other sectors like retirement. We just did a conference last week on the land lease sector, right? There's a project up on the Sunshine Coast, which is a land lease community. And for those that don't know what land lease is, essentially the developer keeps the land and you buy a demountable structure, right, that is yours to own. And then you just pay a rent for the land, right? There's a developer up on the Sunshine Coast that's put $80 million into communal facilities. They have 2 salt baths. Salt baths.
That's insane.
It's insane.
Yeah.
It's the level of amenity that's up there is just, and it's not just there. It's Gem Life. It's other. That's just in the land lease sector, right? Which is an affordable sector.
Yeah.
So the game has changed, I think, and it's really for the better. And I hope we've had a little bit something to do with that too. Yeah.
We do a lot with land lease communities up and down the coast, from Cairns to the Blue Mountains. And we see that too. And it blows my mind because we'll always go and visit them and I get to walk around and I look and they've got indoor bowling alleys and golf driving ranges and it's just insane. Gyms, cinemas, all of these sort of things.
Yeah.
But I think it would be strange to go to a place like that and not have that facility. So you've seen that now with Aria and their rooftop facilities that they have all around Brisbane, and that's just kind of the theme that everyone follows now. And if you don't have that, you're
not
maybe not on the same level. So you've got, the consumers, the buyers are sort of demanding that, and the developers are following suit.
And back to the point about quality over price, and I think that's buyers are attributing value to their experience within the dwelling.
Yeah.
It's not just a piece of real estate. It's a piece of real estate plus a lifestyle.
Yeah.
And that lifestyle is now, their buyers are attributing a financial sum to that. And that could be in the form of wellness. That could be in the form of services. That could be in the form of amenity. That could be in the form of location and convenience and all of those sorts of things. And developers are getting the dough for it. And that's great because that's paying for the uplift. And so I think, between the brand, the journey starting earlier and the putting a price on or putting a value on quality in whatever form that you define it, they're the 3 big things that I see happening at the moment.
And there's opportunities for marketers to capitalize on those.
Totally. Yeah.
Getting back to what you were saying about brand and retail marketing, going from the different sections that I was outlining before for the coming soon, register your interest, now selling, construction commence, etc. What we do find is that we will start with brand up the front because that's generally all we have for the coming soon. And then we'll move into lifestyle messaging and facilities messaging, building product messaging. And then as we get into the down, dirty, hard selling, it's retail messaging, it's configurations, 1, 2, 3 bedrooms, all of this sort of
Finishes.
stuff. Yeah. And you see that progression all the way through. Where marketers fall down is they sometimes tend to try and do the retail up front and just sell. But following on from what you were saying about the facilities and the finishes and the the quality, people want to buy that quality. They want to, and that quality might be in the form of lifestyle or location or amenities, facilities, things like that. Getting access to everything that you get in this location. So it's really important to sell that up front because that will then follow through to the sales messaging.
What's the journey duration the journey duration that you typically can hold a buyer for?
Every project's different,
Yeah.
as you know. Like we're currently finishing up with Monarch Residences, and we're finding that that's a bit of a longer one. It depends on things like price point, location, the buyer type, and configuration.
Right.
So we're going to sell out of the 1s and 2s first. We're going to sell out of the smaller price points first. So you'll get a lot faster sales there. You get investors and first home buyers and people entering the market. And then as you get into the 3, 4 bedroom penthouse, sub penthouse, river homes and things like that, the sale process will naturally sort of elongate a little bit. So, and then there's other projects that we're selling out a lot more consistently, the 4 to 6 month period where the agents are talking to the people, to the buyers. And that's where it's vitally important for us to make sure that we have sales support because we do everything up front. We'll name it, brand it, market it, get the inquiry. And then from here, it may be another 4, 6 months or 9 months, hopefully not 9, before you can get a sale, get a contract through. So what are you doing through here? And that's what's so important. So email nurture campaigns, drip campaigns, constant email updates through blogs, EDMs, keeping social content through that time, so people are constantly reminded of the project. So all of these sort of things are super important all the way through. But it is a process for sure. Yeah. So I was just curious about what do you see the future of the industry looking like in 5 years? And this is, how long is a piece of string? Because I think that what we saw, that acceleration through COVID, is probably something that we won't see again in our lifetime, maybe, hopefully, fingers crossed. But during that time, we saw adoption of technology just skyrocket. We saw silly things like people buying sight unseen, went from like 1% to 15% of the sales. But we did see the industry progress, I would think like 10 years in about 2 years through all of that. Are there any ongoing trends that you see coming through the urban developer in your daily dealings?
It's a good question. Look, I think, again, I used that snake eating the deer analogy before. I think there's a bit of that going on and will continue to go on for a while. So construction capacity issues and that kind of forcing the hand of both developers and everyone else in the industry to try and find either more efficient or more effective or completely alternate solutions to things. So what does that mean as the rubber hits the road? I think a couple of different elements. One is the developer builder relationship is getting a lot closer, and there's a lot more developers that are either becoming vertically integrated, which is, they do their own construction, or they're entering into partnerships with builders that enable those to basically do projects together. Under joint venture structures.
We're seeing a lot of that happening.
Yeah, under joint venture structures, right? So that's almost like a corporate structuring trend that's happening in response to all of this, which is pretty interesting. And that goes all the way down to supplier relationships and, where you get your tiles from, where you get your joinery from, all that sort of stuff. So trying to find efficiencies in that. Then there's the actual methodology with which you build. So looking at complete alternate methodologies, whether it be prefabrication, modularization, completely alternate systems for facades or whatever.
3D printing homes.
3D printed homes. Yep. So, we're going to see a lot more of that. That's called MCM, modern construction methodology or methods or whatever it is. That's now, and the interesting thing is that a lot of those methods have been available for a long time, but there's never been a need to use them. The economics didn't work. Whereas now the economics are build modular or don't build at all.
Yeah, we're looking for cost savings and efficiencies.
Yeah. Then it's okay. I've got to entertain modular now. So that's happening as well. And I think what that then forces is then, and between those two first things that I spoke to, a change in the way that you both document a building and then the fundamental architecture of the building, right? So if you know that the method of construction is modular, then that plays into the architecture.
Yeah, of course.
And then if you know you're building it in a factory, you're not building it on site, then that talks to a manufacturing process, not a construction process. So are we building cars or are we building units? And that's the interesting kind of place that we're in now. You then supercharge all of that with artificial intelligence, whether it be in material science, concretes, other kind of composite things, or whether it be in construction or manufacturing, or whether it be in metals and glues and different ways of binding things. That's going to change very, very quickly. And then ultimately, then what's the outcome of all of that? Well, then you have, interesting architecture that might look nothing like it looks today. So that's something that is now happening. It's been spoken about for a while, but it's dead set happening, and it's really exciting. I walked through a 3D printed duplex in the Shire in Sydney. Nick presented it at Urbanity this year, and it's fascinating. It's just it feels like you're in Star Wars. Did
it have the round the interesting?
It's just like
walls.
It's like piping a cake.
It's
like it's so cool. So
I caught his talk. It was really good.
And that's one of a whole range of different solutions. So that's happening. I think I'm really interested to see where robotics goes. Elon Musk reckons he's a year or two away from a humanoid robot, right?
I want one.
I want one. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And so what does that mean? Obviously, there's the social impacts of it to labor, but like we can't get roofers, we can't get tilers, like this is
We've got a productivity.
There's a real issue there. So
yeah.
So what can robotics now sensibly do on site? We'll have to deal with the unions at some point on that particular issue, but let's go to first principles and think about
unions.
Robot union. Yeah, that's a good one. So robotics is something that, like, in my mind, I'm actually spending a lot of time thinking about, and I think it's going to be probably the topic of 26, maybe 27.
Yeah.
Is how
Let's call it 26, the year of the robot.
The year of the robot, yeah. And then, which is crazy to think about, just to take stock. We are living in the future.
I was doom scrolling last night, and I was seeing a lot of robot stuff is in my feed. I love technology, and I was just watching someone talk about how they're advancing the robot hands, and I just thought, this is like something that you would have seen in a sci-fi movie 15, 20 years ago, where there's ubiquitous robots and things like that.
I've listened to Elon Musk talk about the hand, and that's the big challenge for robotics, is to master the human hand. Well, and the other thing, so the question was put to him about, well, are you gonna recreate the human hand? And he's like, yeah, absolutely. Like, it's like 13 million years of evolution. This hand is perfect.
Yeah.
And then is the robot going to be humanoid? It's like, well, we built the world for humanoids. So the most likely thing for it to do is to be a humanoid. So it's humanoid, right? There'll be other sort of vertical robots, specialist robots in specialist spaces. They're already there.
Yeah.
They're already there. Have you seen a Tesla factory? Like, it's all robotic.
Oh, the old industrial arms that they have and things like that.
I was watching a documentary on how they make Doritos. The whole thing is robotic.
Yeah.
So like robots are already there. It's the humanoid robot that's different. So where does that go, and what's
the impact?
What's the impact? And I also think, just in terms of where the industry is going, like if there's going to be one industry that technology can't bump out of the way, it's got to be bricks and mortar, right? Like the built form. Like we're actually in a really good place, I think, as an industry to deal with this rapid change. If you're in banking or finance or law and shout out to all the lawyers and bankers out there, but they're industries that will be very, very aggressively disrupted. Anything that's kind of
developers as well, as in computer developers.
Yeah, programmers and stuff.
We've already seen that. Decimated.
100%. So that's shifting very, very quickly, and I think our industry's been terrible at embracing change too. So then we're gonna hit this kind of wall where our rules, our compliance, our regulations are just not ready for this.
For what's coming. Yeah.
So do we just do an Uber and function outside of it? Well, no, you're not going to get building certificates.
Yeah.
So you're not going to get a certificate of completion. You can't settle your loan. So there's going to be natural constraints in all of those sorts of systems as well, which are going to force the hand. So it's an exciting time. Like we're swirling around a washing machine at the moment. It's everything's changing. Yeah.
To finish up today, I thought it would be interesting for us to discuss what are some really good examples of project marketing that you've seen, and let's not talk about specific projects, but just elements of it. Someone has used email marketing particularly well, or social particularly well, or outdoor, or things like that. Have you come across anything like that?
Absolutely, every single day. I mean, I think we had something like 50 submissions for the project marketing category for our awards. And everyone steps out their approach and how they did it, and what the research underpinning it was, and then what the results were. So it's highly kind of quantifiable. What is interesting? Look, I get a real kick out of the things that don't cost money, right? Because I think that's really smart. Yeah. For example, like the community engagement and getting involved in the community and finding ways to benefit. There was an underpass in Melbourne that had joined a major mixed-use project. So it was like a pretty bad space, and homeless people and drugs and all of the conflicts that come with that and the crisis that comes with that, right? But yet they got a sales display for like $300-400 million project next door. Yeah. So the developers were like, "What can we do here?" So they approached, I think it was Melbourne City Council, and said, "Look, we'll paint a basketball court. Like it's paint. We'll paint a basketball court and put a hoop there, and then activate it. But the thing is, you got to hit the QR code to book it, right? So then they hit this QR code and they built this database of kids and people that lived in that local area and whatever. So then they were able to take that, go to council and say, we've had 40,000 engagements on this particular basketball court. We want to donate this. We want this to be a permanent thing. Yeah. And so they're able to do it. Now I might have some of the facts in there a little bit wrong, but whatever it is that it was the approach that was really good, and it was so cost effective, and it resulted in buyers, and it resulted in goodwill. The council loved it, the developer loved it, the community loved it. It was just a really, really smart thing to do. So I think
that's a great story. I like that.
Yeah.
So they've capitalized by doing good.
Yeah, and it was just improvement, right? Yeah. And there's heaps of examples around. Like there's some projects in Western Sydney that have engaged with the different cultural communities, and these are old sites that are sitting dormant, waiting for approvals, so you can get in there and activate and do festivals and stuff like that. Yeah. So on that side, I love that community engagement piece. Coming all the way just like to the very practical stuff. I was talking to Mike Bird from apartments.com, and he was telling me about his Assist AI project, and free shout out for Mike, but it's awesome work. He's such an awesome entrepreneur. But he was talking about, he was showing me how, voice technology is
scary good, isn't it?
It's incredibly good. It's their own voice.
Yeah.
So it sounds like you, and the latency and the pickup and the delay, and it's so Australian, and it was hard to distinguish.
Yeah.
It really was. And really they're just qualifying buyers on a list, or might be dead leads or whatever. Are you interested in this project?
So long appointment setters.
Yeah, no, but that's right. So long appointment setters, because this is setting it up for the agent to go and meet with them.
Yeah,
right. And they're qualified.
Phenomenal.
They know what they're interested in, what their budget is, when their likely time of buying is, but like all the way through, right? And you're paying $3 a lead or something like that. Like it's so affordable and it's so smart, and no one likes setting appointments. No one likes that bit. They like closing the deal. They don't like setting the appointments.
Absolutely. So. And we have had packages in the past where we've done that, but it's so expensive using people to do that. And now technology is allowing us to deliver that at a much lower cost, which has been transformative.
So I think that's really awesome. I mean, I don't pick up my phone much anymore unless I recognize a number. That's the dark side of it.
It is.
Interestingly, it's not the AI voice that's the value. It's been able to piece together data about that single individual based on what their preferences are and be more personalized in your approach to it, right? So that
personalization is the key.
That's the long game, is the actual personalization piece. Something similar is not similar, but using similar sort of technology that blew my mind at Urbanity again was the guys who have developed a dynamic pricing. A dynamic price list.
I saw them too.
You saw that?
That really intrigued me.
Yeah. So basically, it monitors the traffic on the website around or on various platforms around certain
like floors and apartments.
Floors and apartments based on price point, and it adjusts the pricing based on where that demand is as well. Which is again, that's super smart, because if you can drive the optimal revenue in the project, then you can continue to invest into the outcome as well. So are you leaving money on the table, or are you overpriced in some areas as well? Is the back-facing apartment actually underpriced because you think it's not as good, yet it's hitting
getting lots of interest.
It's getting lots of interest, right? Every developer's been through that, where they're just surprised by that price to demand ratio or relationship.
I think you mean to say the private courtyard apartment.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, or internal facing apartments. Privacy. Yeah. So, I think that's really interesting. Being able to use AI to do dynamic pricing. I think it's parametric design, which is using machine or computational design, using computers to actually optimize the architecture based on solar and different things like that. That's pretty sweet.
Archistar has a similar product, which gives developers an understanding of sites, their feasibility, but also how to shape it to take advantage of sunlight and breezes and all of these sort of things, which is amazing.
So good.
I mean, all of these examples that we've just spoken about, you've just spoken about then, from appointment setters to dynamic pricing to, feasibility planning, these are all things that bigger developers, bigger organizations do, but they invest in it because they can afford the people. What technology is now allowing is the smaller end of the town to have that capability, which makes them more effective. Everyone keeps saying that AI is going to take everyone's jobs and we'll have a universal basic income and we won't ever work. That's a lie. We're going to work harder than ever. We're just going to be a lot more effective. Yeah. So, it's going to be a productivity tool for us, not anything else.
Yeah, I think so. And just like every other piece of technology, the Luddites fear it, and then things adapt and change. There will be dislocation. There's no doubt about it. And I think the bigger and the more rapid the change, the tougher the dislocation is. So I'm not discounting that in any way. There will be displaced people.
Yeah.
And so, that's the role of government is to help with that transition. But I think from a business point of view, we should all be pretty optimistic about doing things more efficiently and being able to focus on the value creation and the wisdom piece, the judgment piece. The machines aren't going to do that bit. So the value creation piece, I talk about it with our journalists. At what point does AI come into the production of editorial coverage? And we've spoken about this at length, and it's like resizing images. Yeah, get the machine to do that. Optimizing something for SEO. Yeah, get the machine to do that. Coming up with the story and having the relationship with the developer and being able to connect the dots and form an opinion about which way to go with this particular story.
Yeah, you're always going to need
you're going to kill it.
there.
It's the judgment that is required to do that, which will be, I think, the thing that we hold on to. And then it's the storytelling.
Yeah.
So you can tell a story based on all of these different facts. So if we can find a way to basically cut off your least productive 20% and reinvest that into storytelling and judgment-related parts of the editorial process, big tick.
Yeah.
We're doing more things that we like, we're doing more things that create value, and we're doing more things that we add value for our readers and stuff like that. So that's over on that side, and we sort of apply the same thing to all of our roles and the way that we're thinking about our roles. But I think, coming back to your piece about work, I was actually thinking about it when I was driving over here. I was like, work is such an important part of life. And it's not necessarily digging holes and backbreaking work, but it's having a sense of pride about what you create.
Yeah.
Right. And so if you then said, right, you're going to live a hedonistic life and you get to do whatever you want. And if you remove work and the feeling of satisfaction that you get from a good day's work, you're going to be miserable pretty bloody quickly, right?
Yeah, everyone needs goals to shoot for.
You see that with
and to
lotto
work
winners
towards.
and stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
So I think it's a human instinct to want to work in some way and to create and to be constructive and then have that sense of satisfaction and pride about what you've done. So the question will be, where do we do that?
Yeah.
And hopefully for me, it's same place.
Well, that's been really useful and really insightful. Adam, thank you very much for joining us. We really appreciate you coming along today. It's been amazing to hear about your journey and your insights. So thank you very much, everyone else, for watching and listening to today's podcast. If you would like to, you can go to your podcasting platform of choice, mash the subscribe button. And if you're watching us on YouTube, like and subscribe. Until next time, thanks very much. Bye.